emergency support, not to dictate the future of African food systems. Without being food secure, Africans, we are not sovereign. And you can repeat it 10 times. I want to conclude, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, Africa's agriculture's future must be finance-led and owned by Africans. Foreign aid can bridge the gap, but cannot lay the foundation for us. That responsibility is ours. Let us be the generation that broke the cycle of dependence, not rhetoric, but in action. Let us invest in our farmers, empower our youth, reclaim our land potential. Let us build food systems that are resilient, inclusive, and unmistakably African. So, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I can go on until the cows come home, but we need to change our minds. We need to invest in agriculture. We need to adopt science. People have left us. We cannot continue with the whole. We cannot continue depending on seed supplied from superpowers. We must invest in research. This responsibility is yours. With these few remarks, I want to stop here. I think my time is over for God and my country, and I thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Dr. Bright Rwamirama, and once again, a round of applause for Dr. Rwamirama. Before we go to our next speaker, housekeeping. Please let us all take down or take notes of questions or issues that are coming out of the two presentations. We'll be able to have a plenary sometime tomorrow. Another housekeeping matter is to recognize Ms. Anne Kyoko from Citizen Go, who is here with us. Ms. Kyoko, please. Thank you. We are now going to accord time for statements from our right honorable speakers. We'll give each one of them a maximum of 5 minutes. We'll start with the Right Honorable Ndumiso Mjululi from, who is the Deputy Senate President from Eswatini. Let us welcome the Honorable, please.
Thank you so much, Program Director. Maybe before going through my remarks, I'm bringing home greetings from the beautiful Kingdom of Eswatini, from His Majesty the King Mswati III, and also Her Majesty the Queen Mother. Your Excellency, thank you very much. Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Uganda, the First Lady of the Republic of Uganda, the Right Honorable Speaker of the National Assembly of Uganda, Honorable Speakers and Deputies, Members of Parliament from across the continent of Africa and the globe, representatives or cabinet ministers who are here, representatives of partner organizations and friends of the African family, good afternoon. The continent of Africa is indeed facing an unprecedented threats, which are a direct attack on the integrity in the institution of the family and the dignity of human life and African values. Following recent changes to global politics as a result of the new administration of the United States government, this Inter-Parliamentary Conference comes at a time when the African leaders are grappling with adjusting to changes in funding from the West. While examining prospects of enhancing the fiscal arrangements of our countries, there is a need to dig deep to establish mechanisms for protection of our core values, ethics, and morals. These morals and values stem from our God-given identity as African people, and if we lose them, we lose ourselves and our future generations. That will be what will become of us then. As Africans, we believe in mutual respect, honor, dignity, faith, family, culture, and tradition. We recognize that we live in a global community which calls for international and regional cooperation and collaboration. This, however, must never be at the expense of who we are as Africa. This symposium presents an opportunity to go beyond, reflecting on the challenges we are facing in contemporary times, but to identify models for best practice and to harness the strength and opportunities presented by existing systems of governance, indigenous knowledge transfer, and intergenerational development. The Kingdom of Eswatini, for example, like many post-colonial nations, operates under a dual legal system, the Roman Dutch common law on one hand and the traditional Swazi customary law on the other hand. This presents an opportunity for checks and balances across both systems of government. Both systems support the protection of marriage, parental rights, responsibilities, and human life, while common law ensures existence of robust legislative and policy framework. The traditional system, known as the Dinkundla system, proactively upholds traditional Eswatini morals and values, as well as structures for governance and participatory decision-making at grassroots level. I highlight this example to remind us that our continent is indeed blessed by God Almighty, blessed with vast resources, both material in terms of indigenous knowledge systems. It is indeed a great privilege and pleasure for the delegation from the Parliament of the Kingdom of Eswatini to represent in this August meeting. May the Lord God bless all our deliberations towards crafting an African Charter on family, sovereignty, and values. Thank you very much, Your Excellency and Honorables. Thank you. God bless you.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Ndumiso, Deputy Senate President from Eswatini. Another housekeeping matter, I have been informed by the co-chairperson that earlier on today, the copy of the official program was shared to you, our Right Honorable Speakers and the deputies, when you met in the one of the marquee, I think. If there is any who doesn't have a copy, please. Okay. Do we have a protocol here? Members from protocol. Protocol teams from Ugandan Parliament, please. Hello? Our right honorable members, once again, I will ask you, those of you who don't have a copy of the official program, if you can please kindly raise your hands. Protocol, can you please assist by making available copies of the official programs to the hands that are raising? Yes, please, if you can. Oh, dear, dear. Okay, we are continuing with the statements by the speakers. Our next speaker to present her statement is Right Honorable Jema Nunu Kumba, Speaker of Parliament of South Sudan.
I recognize His Excellency Yoweri Museveni, President of the Republic, in his absence, and the First Lady, Mama Janet Museveni, in her absence. The Right Honorable Speaker of the National Assembly of Uganda, Right Honorable Speakers, distinguished parliamentarians, honorable ministers, religious leaders, members of diplomatic corps, civil society representatives, the organizing committee headed by Honorable Sarah Opendi, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. It is a great honor for me to address this important gathering at a time when our societies seem to be in confusion and chaos, where Africa is once again called upon to defend herself, her sovereignty, her family, and the values. Allow me at this juncture to convey to you, the audience, greetings and best wishes from His Excellency General Salva Kiir Mayardit, President of the Republic of South Sudan. South Sudan is a nation born out of a long struggle for self-determination, for dignity, freedom, and the right to preserve its culture. Our very existence is a testimony to the importance of sovereignty, not just in borders, but in identity, in culture, and values. The theme of this conference, Towards an African Charter on Family Sovereignty and Values, resonates deeply with us in the Republic of South Sudan. Our families are the backdrop of our communities, and our values are the compass that guide our future. We recognize that sovereignty is not only about political independence, but also about the ability to define who we are as Africans, and in how we educate our children, how we nourish our people, how we care for our elders and the vulnerables in our society, and how we protect the dignity of life at all stages. The road to our liberation in South Sudan context was not an easy one. It required many hard collective and individual sacrifices to be made, oftentimes at the expense of family structures. I myself can attest the difficulties of raising a family in the midst of an ideological and physical war. I therefore want to take this opportunity to highlight the importance of peace and security, which was mentioned earlier by the previous speakers, in our region, to allow a solid, healthy African families to grow and solidify our cultures together. When there is chaos, there is always opportunity of exploitation. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, we must remain vigilant. The creeping imposition of foreign ideologies, often under the guise of aid or development, threatens to erode the very essence of our societies. Policies that weaken the family unit, that challenge our traditional moral values, or that attempt to redefine our cultural norms without our consent are not acts of solidarity. They are acts of colonization by other means. At this juncture, let me take a moment to commend our gracious host, the Republic of Uganda, for its bold and unwavering stance in defending African value. We applaud the passage of the Anti-Homosexuality Act 2023 as a clear affirmation of the sovereignty of the Uganda people. I extend my deep respect and to His Excellency President Yoweri Museveni, the President of the Republic of Uganda, for his courageous leadership in spearheading this process, and to the Parliament of Uganda, under the leadership of our able sister, Right Honorable Anita Among, for its principled resolve in pushing through legislation that aligns with what we as Africans have always known to be the foundation of a family, a union between a man and a woman, grounded in procreation, stability, and the nurturing of the next generation. In South Sudan, as a post-conflict society, which has experienced mass displacement, some aspects of our family life have been disrupted. Citizens have traveled far and wide and returned with various and sometimes conflicting mindsets to what we know. Some cultural practices and communal bonds have been weakened or removed altogether. These challenges threaten to dilute our cultural identities. I do believe that the charter being developed by this forum will help to play a significant role in helping to recenter our values to those we have had outside influence. Your Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, Africa is not a blank state, as it was stated before, that it needs its history to be rewritten. We are a continent with rich with wisdom, with systems of kinship, with community-centered values, and with deeply rooted spiritual traditions. South Sudan, as an example, with its 64 tribes and countless cultural practices, has long benefited from customary forms of governance within families and clans, highlighting how kinship and collective responsibility uphold social order. Collective decision-making and family sovereignty, therefore, go hand in hand. We take all of this into account. When we take all this into account, the call to action is clear. We must rise as legislators not only to pass laws, but to protect the very essence of our nations, that is, the family. My distinguished brothers and sisters, let us acknowledge that the practice of dowry, which is common in most African countries, remains an important cultural value and norms in many of our societies. We must, however, also confront the reality that at times it has been misused to justify things such as forced and early marriages of our girls. We are seeing it increasingly that most young people are not getting married because of the high dowry that are requested in some of our societies. This should be reviewed, as this prevents young people from getting married, and some young people cannot afford certain dowries. In this modern era, we must align our customs with values that protect the dignity of our daughters. A marriage must be a union of mutual consent, mutual respect and choice, not a transaction. We must preserve the spirit of dowry, as I said, and the dowry should be reasonable and enabling to our young men to get married. And it should be considered as only a gesture of appreciation, not really something that we can benefit from our young children or selling our girls. So we should reject any form of coercion or commodification of young girls that has resulted in forced and early marriages of our young girls. Child marriage is equally not a tradition we should protect. It is a health and human right issue that disproportionately affect the girl child. While some argue that young girls are mature enough to run a home, we must ask our questions. We must ask ourselves, at what cost and what age? Early marriage robs girls of their education, their health, and their future. We must instead teach our societies that educating a girl does not diminish her value as a future wife. It enhances it. An educated woman brings wisdom, strength, and added value to her family. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, our collective cultures which African's family structure rests upon, both the nucleus and extended, are among the most beautiful cultural aspects globally. Common values actualized through concepts like Ubuntu. You are because I am, and I am because you are, should be honored and celebrated as they highlight the solidarity that binds generations together. However, we must also reflect critically on the dependency culture that was introduced and cemented by the colonial system. Traditionally, each member of the family had a role and a responsibility. And this was clearly stated earlier by His Excellency the President, that the family must also be productive. We must return to this ethic of contribution and encourage economic empowerment within families. And this was also alluded to by the Deputy Governor of the Central Bank. So they are not only, families are not there to express unification or unity emotionally, but also self-sufficient and resilient. Financial literacy, entrepreneurship, and local resource mobilization must become key pillars of a modern African family life. Let this conference be a turning point. Let us draft a charter that reflects our collective vision, one that upholds the sanctity of life, calls for peace and security, respect for the centrality of family, the authority of our cultures, and the right of each African country to determine its own path without coercion. South Sudan, therefore, supports the initiative of developing an African charter and stands ready to contribute to these efforts of formalizing family sovereignty and values as a continental framework. This framework will definitely articulate our collective commitment, rights, and responsibilities regarding family life. Such charter should also consolidate the sovereignty of families to govern themselves according to African cultural values, cultural norms and values, and provide guidance and policy direction that strengthens family resilience and cohesion. Each must also promote education about our rich cultural heritage and also ensure that legislative and policy frameworks support the preservation of our indigenous family values. Let this be a moment Africa unites to say our families matter, our cultures matter, our sovereignty matter. Thank you all. Thank you all for listening. A special thank you to our host, the Republic of Uganda, as the Parliament, the National Parliament, that has diligently worked to bring us together to engage in such critical and important discussions. It's my prayer that this conference marks a new chapter in our shared continental journey to protect our family sovereignty and values. We thank the organizers for the hospitality and for the warm reception we received from you since the time of our arrival. God bless Africa. God bless Uganda. God bless the Republic of South Sudan.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Jema Nunu Kumba, Speaker of Parliament of South Sudan. Once again, a round of applause for Right Honorable Kumba. Indeed, the issues to do with early marriages, transactional marriages are very disturbing, and no wonder our colleague Honorable Salah Opendi has already come up with a bill which has been tabled in the Ugandan parliament titled Marriage Bill, which is aiming at addressing and tackling issues to do with early marriages and transactional marriages. So we are progressing. Right Honorable Jema Nunu, you are not alone. You have got a colleague in Uganda as well. This time, I'll call upon Right Honorable Fabakare Tombog Jatai, Speaker of Parliament from Gambia.
Thank you very much. May I recognize His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Uganda and the First Lady in absentia. The Honorable Speaker of the Parliament of Uganda, Honorable Speakers here in present, Honorable Deputy Speakers, and Honorable Members. Honorable Ministers here in present, distinguished partner organizations to this noble initiative, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, and the media. It is with a deep sense of gratitude that I thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for granting me the opportunity and strength to participate in the Third Africa Regional Inter-Parliamentary Conference on Emerging Global Challenges. I wish to extend, on behalf of my delegation, my profound gratitude and appreciation to the organizers for not only according us the opportunity to once again participate in this very important convergence, but also for the hospitality accorded to me and my delegation since our arrival in this beautiful city of Entebbe. I need not emphasize the significance of the theme under which this assembly is convened. We gather to affirm a fundamental truth that the family is the bedrock of African society, and its sovereignty must be recognized, protected, and empowered in all national and continental frameworks. It is obvious that an African Charter on Family and Sovereignty will strengthen the role of the family as a social unit and a fundamental aspect of African societies, while respecting the sovereignty of African nations. Such a charter would emphasize the family's importance in upholding values and traditions, ensuring the protection of family members, and promoting the well-being of children and women. It will also respect the right of states to determine their internal policies and laws, whilst ensuring that these laws do not infringe upon the rights and well-being of families. In the Gambia, family is not merely a unit of kinship. It is a living institution of identity, values, and continuity. From the Mandinka to the Fula, from the Wolof to the Jola, family structures have long been a source of moral instruction, conflict resolution, economic support, and communal harmony. Our traditional and extended families are the first schools, the first courts, and the first parliaments of our people. Yet, we recognize that in the tides of globalization, urban migration, and technological change, the African family faces unprecedented challenges. The Gambia believes that family sovereignty, the right of families to raise children according to their values, traditions, and faiths within the bounds of human dignity and law, is under a quiet threat from both within and beyond our borders. We must not allow the erosion of African family values to become collateral damage in the pursuit of modernization. Instead, we must define development on our terms, one that harmonizes tradition and progress and respects the role of families in shaping responsible, resilient citizens. This is precisely why the Gambia has taken steps to preserve family sovereignty through a community-based legal mediation, which empowers families to resolve disputes using local wisdom and culturally relevant justice systems. B, education reform, integrating civic and moral instruction rooted in our heritage. C, gender equity policies, policies that balance the preservation of cultural values with the promotion of equal opportunity and protection for women and children. And D, youth mentorship initiatives, connecting generations and reinforcing the family as a space for guidance and growth. But family sovereignty is not just a national concern, it is a continental imperative. Africa's strength lies not only in its resources or markets, but in the moral and cultural capital of its people. If our families are fractured, our nations will falter. Honorable members, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, last year, when we converged here to discuss the need to strengthen African family values and guarantee our sovereignty, I emphasized that in defending the sovereignty of our nations, we must safeguard the rights and interests of all our people, ensuring that they all have a voice in the decisions that affect their lives and livelihoods. This requires upholding the principles of democracy, transparency, and accountability, and fostering an inclusive political culture where all individuals, regardless of their background or beliefs, can participate meaningfully in the democratic process. By empowering our citizens and building resilient institutions that are responsive to their needs, we can fortify the foundations of African sovereignty and chart a course towards a more prosperous and equitable future for all. As we therefore reflect on an African Charter on family values and sovereignty, let us not lose sight of the fact that moving Africa forward is the sole responsibility of Africans. It requires collective action in addressing the many challenges confronting us as a people and continent, from economic disparities to political instabilities, from environmental degradation to the erosion of cultural heritage. The threats we face are complex and interconnected. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, as legislators, we are the custodians of our people's trust and the architects of their future. Our role in protecting the structure of traditional African family, the primary sociological garden in which our children began cultural learning and training in responsibility is critical and multifaceted. We must demonstrate commitment to the objectives of this conference by ensuring the enactment of national laws that promotes and protects the family and our values. We must equally take progressive steps to support our government to defend our community, particularly when it is threatened by asymmetric warfare, often perpetrated by those who exploited our resources and kindness for centuries. To conclude, honorable members, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I challenge all of us to seize the opportunities presented by this gathering to reaffirm our commitment to African sovereignty, family, and values. Let us harness the collective wisdom and expertise gathered here today to chart a course towards a more prosperous, equitable, and sustainable future for all. As parliamentarians, let us lead by example, inspire our constituents, and forge partnerships that transcend borders and generations. I thank you for your kind attention.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Tombong Jetai. Another round of applause for the Right Honorable Speaker. This time I'll call upon Dr. Teresa Okafor, Foundation for African Cultural Heritage, to make a partner's statement. Let us all welcome Dr. Teresa.
Honorable parliamentarians, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to preface my intervention by telling you a short story. I mean, this is not a story, it really happened. I took a group of teachers to the UK, and over lunch, they spotted what seemed like a decor, a centerpiece in the table. It was fruits. And they said, what a lovely decoration, you know, making a decoration with bananas, strawberries, blueberries, this is so beautiful. And I turned to them and said, that's not a decoration, that's your dessert. And they said, what? Dessert looking like plastic, it doesn't look real, it's so beautiful. By the time they had a taste of it, they turned to me and said, this is shocking. Banana tasted like strawberry, strawberry tasted like raspberry. I mean, they said everything tasted the same, everything tasted watery. And even if there was a fruit flavor, the fruit flavor seemed like, you know, food concentrate. In contrast, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, today, when we were served with bananas, when we arrived, the bananas were so nourishing. It tasted like fruit. It was creamy. We could tell the distinctive flavor. In fact, I was with my brother from Ethiopia and my brother from Malawi, and they were talking about how bananas are different from one another. My brother from Malawi was saying that his wife grows bananas and that there are variants of bananas. And at that moment, I was just thinking to myself, why we in Africa have to be very discretionary? Because sometimes this helps. In Africa, people tend to be, you know, lured away by, we have to introduce GMOs, genetically modified products, you know, in our countries so that food can become surplus. Whereas we need to preserve what is we need to preserve what is natural to us. So I thought this was a good way of starting my presentation by pointing out my life experience on the importance of preserving what is truly African, our food security. Foundation for African Cultural Heritage is a civil society organization comprising independent pro-life, pro-family, and pro-marriage groups. Our membership spans diverse ethnic and religious backgrounds across Africa, and we collaborate with government and with like-minded organizations in performing our gatekeeping role. FAC, the acronym for Foundation for African Cultural Heritage, actively puts its ears to the ground and reviews proposed legislation, especially during public hearings, and provides advisory input to government, particularly on issues that may undermine our shared national values. And FAC members have served as government officials. I, for one, have been a consultant. I am still a consultant to the Parliamentary Network in Nigeria, and I have represented Nigeria at the United Nations in New York, and I've also served as an expert under the Holy See. It's an honor to address you at this very important meeting focused on the African chapter for family, sovereignty, and values. You know, Africa was once mischaracterized as a dark continent, but now we recognize the rapid economic growth happening in Africa, which correlates with the youthful population in Africa, a reality that challenges the myth of population decline in the West. But as we see the West imploding, as we see the pitfalls of population decline, it's also a challenge to us on the need to seek important solutions on how we can support large families in Africa. What are we doing to create jobs for our young people, to project employability and entrepreneurship? And how are we in Africa harnessing technologies like AI to expand knowledge, the quality assurance of our workforce, to drive innovation and provide authentic choices? What are we doing to imbue our schools with a religious identity, with that respect we were taught, respect towards our elders? What are we doing to maintain physical security from criminal activities, to combat terrorism, physical and psychological safety from the harms of reproductive technology and pornography, whose evil is sometimes undermined and which is disseminated not just through unbridled attachment to social media, but also filtering in through the so-called comprehensive sexuality education. Pope Benedict described Africa as a spiritual lung of the world, holding back the dikes of corruption. Are we in Africa living up to this call? Africa must not be seen as a subject of external influence, but as a co-creator of meaningful solutions rooted in dignity, sovereignty, and authentic progress. We must guard against the seduction of greed, materialism, and ideological exploitation. There is so much to consider, but I hope this conference will yield actionable ideas to project our sovereignty, uphold the dignity of the human person, and preserve the sanctity of marriage. I want to leave you with two 20th century predictions that should serve as a cautionary mirror from two authors, because you see, literature may seem unimportant, but literature has a very profound and enduring influence in our lives. There were two books written in the 20th century. One of them is called A Brave New World by Aldous Huxley. It was written in 1931, almost a century ago. And this author asked the question and says, are we trading our autonomy for ease and not even noticing it? In that book, he talked about illusory happiness induced by drugs. He talked about the immersive entertainment that distracts from existential and societal issues. He said education has become an echo chamber, a groupthink, not leaving room for deep thought and reflection. He also talked about reproduction is mechanized because children are no longer born naturally. Schools, he said, exist only as tools of state indoctrination. And he said, ending is often better than mending, referring to Pope Francis, who talked about disponibility rather than sustainability. And then he said, there were problems when we consider that hedonic satisfaction is often prioritized over the family. The second novelist, J.D. James, a 1992 novelist who wrote the book On the Children of Men, predicted a future, a dystopian future, which he set in 2021. And this was talking about Britain. He said he sees a future where there is no biology or spirituality. He sees a future where schools vanish along with childhood. A future that is no longer a system to pass down knowledge or culture, a future where humanity has become infertile, killed off by assisted suicide euthanasia, which is now the in thing, where no children have been born over 2 decades. He said Britain has become bleak, an authoritarian state with no children, schools are abandoned, playgrounds are overgrown, society is aging rapidly, a society literally has no future when there are no children to inherit it. I'd leave you pondering over these points made by these authors, predicted by these authors many years ago. So I'd like to thank the organizers. This is a wonderful conference. It's the first time I'm actually seeing the President Museveni speak, and I was kind of trying to draw similarities between him and President Trump, because I think both of them are very, very brave men. Brave men that are ready to counter, whatever society's ideological ideas society is throwing on us. And I was really, really happy to know that despite the fact that every attempt was made to isolate Uganda, Uganda made progress, economic progress. And what is more, oil has been discovered in Uganda. I think Uganda, the pearl of Africa, is a testimony to the whole world. Thank you so much, and I look forward to addressing you tomorrow.
Thank you very much, Dr. Teresa Okafor. We've got 2 more speakers before we can wind up for today. But just confirmation, do we have Right Honorable Vito Kamele Kingi from the DRC in already? Not yet. Okay, we'll now go to Right Honorable Fernando John, Deputy Speaker of Parliament from the Mozambican Parliament. A clap, one point. Welcome. You're free. Okay. Please, fala portuguesa.
Boa tarde. Good afternoon. Okay, thank you. Sua Excelência, Senhor Presidente Yoweri Museveni, Senhora Janete Museveni, Primeira Dama de Uganda, Sua Excelência, Senhora Presidente do Parlamento de Uganda, Suas Excelências, Presidentes dos Parlamentos e Assembleias Nacionais, distintos parlamentares aqui presentes. É com grande honra que me dirijo a esta terceira Conferência Interparlamentar Regional Africana, uma plataforma sobre nobre e necessária para a reflexão conjunta sobre os desafios globais emergentes que colocam em risco a soberania dos nossos Estados e os valores que sustentam as nossas famílias africanas. Permita-me em nome da Presidente da Assembleia da República de Moçambique, expresse profunda gratidão aos organizadores deste evento e a todos os países irmãos aqui representados. Esta reunião não é apenas um encontro entre parlamentares. É um grito coletivo em defesa da nossa identidade, das nossas raízes, da nossa autodeterminação e da célula base da sociedade, a família. Em nossos encontros anteriores, na primeira e segunda conferências realizadas em 2023 e 2024, aqui em Entebbe, afirmamos o nosso compromisso com a preservação da soberania africana e a proteção dos nossos preciosos valores familiares. Hoje, enfrentamos desafios ainda mais complexos que exigem nossa resposta unificada e determinada. Vivemos num mundo em constante mutação, impulsionado por uma globalização acelerada, por avanços tecnológicos, mas também por crises múltiplas que vão desde pandemia, conflitos armados, alterações climáticas, até ameaças híbridas à soberania dos nossos Estados. Esses desafios não se limitam à esfera política ou econômica. Eles infiltram-se nos lares, nas escolas, nas redes sociais, até mesmo na consciência da nossa juventude, com implicações profundas para os nossos valores sociais, culturais e espirituais. Observamos ainda uma crescente pressão para a adoção de modelos sociais que não refletem a nossa realidade nem a nossa história. A família africana, estruturada em torno de valores e solidariedade, respeito aos mais velhos, coesão intergeracional, partilha comunitária, continua a ser esteio das nossas sociedades. Preservar essa instituição é preservar o futuro dos nossos povos. Neste contexto, a proposta de construção de uma Carta Africana sobre valores familiares de soberania constitui uma resposta corajosa, visionária e profundamente necessária. Esta Carta deverá servir como um instrumento político e moral que articule com clareza os princípios que defendemos enquanto africanos e que inspire políticas públicas, legislação nacional e ações regionais coerentes com as nossas realidades e aspirações. Moçambique apoia firmemente esta iniciativa e reitera o compromisso da Assembleia da República em contribuir ativamente para este processo. Acreditamos que esta Carta deve ser fruto de um diálogo inclusivo, onde a voz dos povos africanos, especialmente das mulheres, dos jovens e das comunidades tradicionais, seja ouvida e respeitada. Que ela promova a educação cívica assente em valores éticos, que valorize o papel dos pais encarregados de educação, que combata todas as formas de violência doméstica e que defenda a soberania cultural sem cair no isolacionismo. Excelências, a Carta Africana dos Direitos Humanos e dos Povos reconhece a família como um elemento fundamental da sociedade. No seu artigo 17 estabelece que a família tem o direito de ser protegida pelo Estado, que deve zelar pela saúde física e moral. Assim sendo, o dever de assegurar a proteção da família, enquanto guardião da sabedoria e dos valores africanos, é um mandato alicerçado nos fundamentos dos nossos instrumentos orientadores, na qualidade de membros da União Africana. Diante das ameaças aos nossos valores e tradições culturais, permitam que apresente as medidas significativas que Moçambique tomou para proteger a estrutura familiar. Através da reforma da Lei da Família de 2024, fortalecemos o reconhecimento legal das cerimônias tradicionais de casamento e do direito consuetudinário e questões familiares. De referir que a lei sobre a família refere que o casamento só pode ser de um homem e uma mulher. E não se admite que haja casamentos diferentes daquilo que está declarado nessa lei. Nosso sistema educacional, implementamos o Programa de Integração do Patrimônio Cultural, um programa abrangente que inclui o ensino obrigatório de línguas locais nas escolas primárias para preservar nossa diversidade linguística, a integridade dos sistemas de conhecimento tradicional nos currículos de ciências e agricultura, incorporação de formas de arte e música tradicional na educação cultural e a participação ativa dos anciãos da comunidade do ensino de narrativas históricas e práticas culturais. Nossos mecanismos de diálogo intergeracional foram formalizados através do estabelecimento do Conselho de Sabedoria Comunitária, onde os anciãos reúnem regularmente com os jovens, da realização de festivais culturais regulares que unem diferentes gerações para compartilhar o conhecimento da implementação de programas da documentação digital que permite aos jovens registrar as histórias e práticas tradicionais dos anciãos e desenvolvimento de programas de mentoria que conectam artesãos experientes com os jovens aprendizes. Fortalecemos o sistema de apoio baseado na comunidade através da Lei 27/2019, que aprova o Estatuto das Áreas de Conservação e regulamenta o acesso aos recursos genéticos e do conhecimento tradicional. Minhas senhoras e meus senhores, o papel dos parlamentos é central nesse esforço. Somos nós os guardiões da vontade popular e os fiadores da legislação. Cabe-nos, portanto, a responsabilidade de criar um ambiente legislativo que promova e defenda os valores que sustentam as nossas nações. Devemos igualmente fiscalizar as políticas públicas, as parcerias internacionais, garantindo que estas não comprometem a nossa autodeterminação. A defesa da soberania e dos valores familiares africanos não é incompatível com a cooperação internacional, mas esta deve ser construída com base no respeito mútuo, na igualdade e na valorização das identidades nacionais. Por isso, Moçambique propôs as seguintes ações concretas. Estabelecimento de um grupo de trabalho interparlamentar africano sobre a proteção dos valores familiares, com foco específico na harmonização dos marcos legais modernos com os sistemas tradicionais. Desenvolvimento de uma plataforma digital africana compartilhada para documentar e preservar práticas culturais e conhecimentos tradicionais. Implementação de iniciativas colaborativas de pesquisa para documentar exemplos bem-sucedidos de integração de valores tradicionais com o desenvolvimento moderno. Ilustres colegas, nossa força reside em nossa capacidade de preservar nossos valores enquanto nos adaptamos às mudanças. Moçambique está pronto para compartilhar as suas experiências e aprender com as outras nações africanas nesse esforço de proteger o nosso patrimônio cultural e valores familiares. As decisões que tomamos hoje determinarão se os nossos filhos herdarão não apenas os nossos recursos físicos, mas também o rico patrimônio cultural que nos torna singularmente africanos. Agradecemos a vossa atenção. Kanimambo Asante Sana. Obrigado.
Muito obrigado, Right Honorable Fernando John. Second Deputy Speaker, another round of applause for the Right Honorable Fernando. Our final speaker for the day is Right Honorable also Theophile, Deputy Speaker from the Parliament of Cameroon. Please let us clap hands for Right Honorable Theophile as he comes forward. Please.
Excellences, Monsieur le Président de la République de l'Ouganda, Madame la Première Dame de l'Ouganda, très honorable Président de l'Assemblée nationale de la République de l'Ouganda, je voudrais, au nom de son Excellence Monsieur Président de la République du Cameroun, au nom du très honorable Kavaye Jibril, Président de l'Assemblée nationale du Cameroun, en mon nom personnel et au nom de la délégation qui m'accompagne, vous dire merci. Merci pour toutes les commodités prises qui rendent notre séjour agréable dans votre République. Distingués participants, la prise de conscience est le point de départ de l'action. Nous avons pris conscience, n'ayons pas peur d'agir. Pour ce faire, je vais essayer de vous faire part de certaines dispositions que nous avons prises au niveau du Cameroun en ce qui concerne la souveraineté familiale. Lors d'une visite du président de la République du Cameroun en France, la question lui avait été posée sur l'homosexualité. Il a répondu, en refusant de prononcer ce mot. Il a dit, cette chose-là, pour le moment, n'est pas reconnue dans notre législation et est punie par le code pénal. Le mariage traditionnel, qui chez nous ne coûte pas cher, du moins dans ma région, cela peut vous coûter à peu près $100, 50 000 francs, est déjà reconnu par la loi. Et n'a des valeurs juridiques lorsqu'elle est transcrite dans les registres de l'état civil. Et la loi fixe aussi l'âge minimum du mariage, autant pour les garçons que pour les filles. Ceci pour éviter les mariages précoces. La souveraineté économique. Le président n'a pas renouvelé les accords économiques de coopération des années 60 qui étaient largement défavorables à nos pays. Par exemple, la priorité donnée à l'État colonial, d'avoir le droit de préemption sur les matières premières, d'avoir l'exclusivité d'exploitation de nos ressources. Ceci n'a pas été fait. Et nous avons appliqué maintenant une politique d'import substitution. C'est-à-dire, consommons ce que nous produisons et produisons ce que nous consommons. À titre d'exemple, pour les farines, le blé, nous importons pour 300 milliards de francs CFA par an, le riz pour à peu près 200 milliards par an et poissons 200 milliards par an. Vous voyez, si tout cet argent restait dans l'économie locale, ça nous aurait servi à faire autre chose. La souveraineté de l'éducation, l'accent qui est mis sur l'enseignement technique et l'introduction des langues nationales dans les cursus scolaires pour préserver l'identité culturelle. Et sur le plan de la santé, une loi a été votée pour organiser la médecine traditionnelle. Et d'expérience, nous avons constaté que lors de la pandémie du Covid-19, il y a des médicaments qui ont été reconnus. Il y a l'archevêque Léda qui avait introduit et pour lequel il a mis au défi tous ceux qui l'ont pris d'avoir été victimes de Covid-19. Il a été reconnu et a été félicité par le gouvernement. Et beaucoup d'autres aussi. Ce qui fait qu'il y a une avancée assez considérable dans le domaine de la santé traditionnelle. Alors, pour ne pas tirer en longueur, je dirais comme disait Bob Marley, get up, stand up for the right. Peuple africain, agissons maintenant. Merci.
Merci. Thank you very much, Right Honorable Deputy Speaker from Cameroon. Right Honorable Speakers and your deputies, Honorable members, we've now come to the end of our today's program. I will now hand over to Honorable Sarah Opendi, my co-chair of this conference for the housekeeping and tomorrow's program. Honorable Opendi.
Thank you very much, distinguished delegates, for your patience. It has been a long day. Some of our colleagues arrived today morning. But I'm glad that with the Lord's grace, they've been able to sit through this entire all-day session. I was watching. I have not seen people dozing. If you were dozing, then I didn't see you. So we thank God for that. I'm aware that there are some speakers who had some statements on some of these presentations that were made. Recall that we had a presentation on food, protecting African values, protecting and promoting Africa's food sovereignty. And we are supposed to have debates and statements. So we skipped this to enable us catch up with the morning program. So we shall have the debates tomorrow and conclude with that. So tomorrow I want to request that we start early by 8:30. I hope you will have enough time to relax this evening, so that we can start tomorrow at 8:30 and complete early enough to go for an excursion. An excursion, you need to come dressed casually. Not for the meeting, after the meeting. So we shall assemble at 8:30 and start our program, so that we can conclude early by 4 or 4:30. Then you go and change into casual attire. Canvas shoes, please wear them, because there will be some walking, and then we go and have our dinner in the floating restaurant, our natural resource, Lake Victoria. So that will be our tomorrow's program, sponsored by the Parliament of Uganda. So we shall all. You have. Yes, tomorrow's program will be at the Imperial Golf. Imperial Golf View Hotel, where we are residing. Imperial Resort, there are there is Imperial Golf View, there is Imperial Botanical, there is Imperial Resort Beach Hotel. So we shall be at Imperial Resort Beach Hotel. That's where tomorrow's session will take place. So we will all move out as we came, and the buses will be there to pick us. So So I want to thank, is Pastor Semper here? Pastor Semper, give us a word of prayer. Ladies and gentlemen, in everything we do, there is Allah, there is God, and this is Africa. So let's end the day's program with a word of prayer. Tomorrow, as we get to the hotel, if the secretariat is ready, all of you will have your folders with the program. Folders with the draft charter, and I request that you read it so that you see what input you can make. So we have a draft that has been prepared by the legal team. So thank you very much. Can I ask Pastor Martin Semper to give us a word of prayer? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Honorable. Let's stand up on our feet, everybody. It's been a long day. We've had such a wonderful time. We've been blessed with good fellowship, wisdom, and safety. Let's give thanks to the Lord. Almighty God, we want to thank you that today you have seen fit to gather us from all over Africa and all over the world, to put on our mind the importance of the family, to preserve it, to protect it, to defend it, and to promote it. We want to thank you for all the deliberations, and we speak a blessing on what has happened today. We leave a blessing in the home of the first family, to His Excellency President Museveni and the First Lady, and we pray that the events of the coming days will equally be joyful and full of life. I ask this through Jesus, our Savior's name. Amen. God bless you so much. God bless you so much.
I'm being guided that you pick the folders and the program from the conference hall at the hotel. It will be easier that way. The secretariat will be there seated right now. Thank you very much.